Have you ever met someone incredibly intelligent, but barely says a word? And then there's another person who confidently shares their opinion about everything, even when they're completely wrong. Why does that happen? Shouldn't intelligence automatically make you more confident? Surprisingly, no. In fact, many of the most intelligent speakers struggle with confidence more than everyone else. I'm gonna explain why this happens. And if you've ever felt like you know more than you say, this video might change the way you see yourself. A few years ago, I had a student who almost never spoke in class. Whenever I asked a question, he already knew the answer. You could see it on his face. Instead of raising his hand, he would look down, wait, think, then someone else would answer. After class, I asked him, "Why didn't you answer? You knew it." He smiled and said, "Sir, I wasn't 100% sure." That sentence stayed with me because I heard the same thing from engineers, doctors, business owners, and people with a lot of experience. They know the answer, but they don't speak. Meanwhile, there's someone else who knows much less, answers immediately. Why? There's actually a psychological explanation for this. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. Imagine you've read only one book in your life. You'd probably think learning isn't that difficult. Now imagine you've read 100 books. Suddenly, you discover there are thousands more. You realize how little you actually know. Knowledge creates awareness. Awareness creates humility. And sometimes that humility turns into self-doubt. There's a famous quote that says, "The more I know, the more I realize I know nothing." Think about that for a second. A beginner sees life in black and white. Everything looks simple. Everything seems obvious. But experts see complexity. They see exceptions. They see possibilities that before speaking, their brain starts asking questions. What if I'm wrong? What if someone asks a question I can't answer? What if I miss an important detail? What if people think I'm stupid? And while their brain is busy running all those possibilities, someone else has already started talking. This is something psychologists often connect with the Dunning-Kruger effect. People with very little knowledge sometimes overestimate their abilities, not because they're arrogant, but because they don't yet know what they don't know. On the other hand, people with more knowledge often underestimate themselves because they can clearly see the gaps in their understanding. Confidence and competence are not the same thing. Read that again. Confidence and competence are not the same thing. Some of the loudest people in the room know the least, and some of the quietest people in the room know the most. Now, here's many intelligent people make a huge mistake. They think once they become good enough, they're gonna become confident. No, confidence doesn't come after perfection. Confidence comes after repetition. Now, let me give you an example. Did you know how to ride a bicycle before you got on one? Of course not. You probably fell again and again and again. But after enough attempts, you stopped thinking. Your body simply knew what to do. Confidence works exactly the same way. You don't think your way into confidence. You act your way into confidence. I see this with my students all the time. Some students speak broken English confidently, but others, those who know much better English, but refuse to speak. Why? Because one person is trying to communicate, but the other person is trying to avoid making mistakes. But those are two completely different goals. When your goal becomes avoiding mistakes, you always stay silent because silence feels safer. But silence also keeps you exactly where you are. Now imagine two people applying for the same job. The first person knows everything required, but during the interview, he keeps saying, "I think, maybe, I'm not sure." The second person knows less, but he answers confidently, speaks clearly, and maintains eye contact. Who do you think gets remembered? In many cases, the second one. Not because he's smarter, but because confidence makes people trust you. That's the reality of human psychology.